It's time to get nerdy, y'all.
A little bit of gaming history for you.
Something relevant in gaming and discuss our opinions on it.
Should we kick it out of here, or should we kick-start it?
This is the part where you, the listeners, try to stump the hosts.
I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on a podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is Tuesday, July 13th. No, it's not. It's Monday. Dang it.
Old excellent habits die hard.
Leave that in. Don't edit that out. It's Monday, July 13th, 2026. And you know what that means. It's time to get nerdy, y'all.
Woo!
Welcome to episode number 384 of Two Nerds in a Pod, nerdiest video game podcast in the galaxy. My name is Lam, also known as Mr. Nice Guy, and I'm joined by my friend, my comrade, my brother from another mother, the Miggity Mac, also known as Maction. Mac, what is good, buddy? What's new?
Man, this last week, I haven't had that much that's been new, but I've had a lot of stuff that's been fun. Just little things like, getting some new stuff in the mail, getting some cards and things. It's been a very ordinary week, but I did have the opportunity to just have a slow, easy-paced week with some good times, some great food. Made some more sweet pork, and it's
nice.
It's like a process that takes a day, but it is good for quite some time. So,
I believe it.
It's pretty nice. How about you, dude?
Dude, things are good. We had a birthday party in the Nice Guy household.
Woohoo!
And we went to go see a movie as part of the kids' party. Went to go see that new Moana movie.
Oh, okay. How was that?
It was fine. Disney has a great model where they either make an animated movie and then later make it a live action, or vice versa, or they make an animated movie and then they remaster it. And we just keep paying them to do this. But movies are interesting in 2026, Mac.
Yeah.
You can basically break rules in the movie theater and they don't care. Because they're just glad that you're there.
I mean, I just think the Nice Guy household, I do not expect to be rule breakers. What rules are you breaking? Or is it that you're watching other people break rules?
You could bring a pizza into the movie theater, and when they say no outside food, it's like, well, do you want me to go home? Or do you want there to be people in the theater today? Like, what would you prefer? Mm-hmm. So that was kind of amusing. And Mac, I don't know if you knew this, but you can rent out a whole movie theater for the cost of a movie ticket. I don't know if you knew that in 2026. I'm being silly, but my point is not a lot of people are going to movies.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm trying new bits on you right now.
No, it's fantastic, but the thing is that I have heard crazier things turn out to be true than you can get a whole theater screening for the cost of a single ticket. But so I apologize, and I don't know how they do things in Wisconsin. So,
Yeah, no, in all seriousness though, during COVID we rented out a movie theater for like $80. Which for our family, like $80 to get into a movie anyway, right?
Yeah,
for the size of family that I have. So it was just super interesting to go to the theater and see no one in there and just have a good time, but it was great. On that note, I say we do what we do best. And we hop right up in that gaming news, my friend. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. Mr. Nice Guy, I am so out of the loop. I hope you can bring me up to speed.
Dude, I sure can. And there's so many cool stories, so many feel-good stories, so many stories that you only get to hear on Two Nerds in a Pod, because we don't talk about the obvious. We talk about stuff that's fun to talk about and fun to hear about. So thanks for hanging out. Mm-hmm. We're several years in, 384 episodes in, and we appreciate you all. So, Mac, here is the first news story on IGN.com. University gives students up to $15,000 in scholarships for rare gaming achievements. Some colleges have esports programs while others offer game development courses. The University of Silicon Valley has a few of those too, but they also have a Max Achievement Scholarship, which is turning heads across the internet due to its unusual requirements. Gonna scroll down, and it says to earn the scholarship cash, students must prove they've earned specific in-game achievements across two separate tiers, Mastery and Legendary. Mastery tiers earns students up to $2,500 per term, while Legendary nets them up to $5,000 per term, with each term year consisting of 3 terms. For example, Mac, they can submit their achievement for an old school RuneScape by getting Max Cape, earned after getting all 24 skills to level 99. In Final Fantasy XIV, players can submit for Legendary tier by getting all 20 combat jobs and 8 crafter/gatherer jobs to level 100. Mac, the argument that the university is making here is that they are rewarding students for dedication, for hard work, for perseverance, much like academic scholarships do. I want to hear your thoughts generally, and then I want to know, what achievement would you have gotten? Was this a thing when we were back in college?
So this is very cool. I am a big proponent of the idea that video games can be good for you, maybe help you focus on things. I think that I attribute my arithmetic success to this day to number munchers.
Nice.
I attribute the fact that I have not died of dysentery to the Oregon Trail.
I like
I
it.
attribute the fact that I know how to organize a moving van to Tetris.
Dude.
And so many other things. Safely cross the street? Frogger. Anyway, I love that, and I think that video games are a very underserved. Really, the thing that my spouse is always saying is that I have played so many video games that I navigate well in 3-dimensional space, which I do, but I don't know as that's exactly where it is. Anyway, the benefits of video gaming, I think, cannot be understated, and it is cool to see some place that is, feels like kind of recognizing that. This is, how different would life have been, Mr. Nice Guy, if it had been like this when we were going to school?
Yeah, so 3 terms, $5,000 tops per term, $15,000 a year. Mm-hmm. That may be a drop in the bucket. I don't know what the University of Silicon Valley's tuition is, but it's something. That's not an insignificant amount of money. So very, very cool that they're doing this. I don't think there's really any debate to have here. The one concern that I would have is, hacking, cheating. How are you to know that someone else didn't do it for you? Like, you can pay someone to take the SAT. Maybe you pay someone to get the gaming achievement, or you buy someone else's profile. I'm sure there are ways around this, but in practice, this is a really, really cool thing.
Just a quick aside of some of a historical achievement. There used to be a thing where, for the old Activision games, and this is back when Activision was making games for the Atari, like 2600 or whatever, you would take photos of you having, gotten a high score or whatever, and submit it to them, and they would send you basically a merit badge as a trophy. Something that I've thought would be really cool to reproduce at some point in time. But anyway, that has nothing to do with anything aside from achievements. I think can happen without hacking, I hope. I don't know. Anyway, let me answer your other question, Lom, which
Please.
is what I think I would have received an award for in back when I was going to college. And I think I would have received an award something like the Stepmaster for all of the Dance Dance Revolution, well, Pump It Up, that I was playing in my early high school or my early college days. Alternatively, I think I probably also would have got a speedrun award for Mega Man 2. Because long before I had, ever learned any of the actual speedrunning tech, cool things like zips and such that you see in the speedruns for those games, I did have the playthrough pretty well down pat, and I could just breeze through that game between class periods. So, as long as I had an open hour, basically. But the point being is that that's what I would do. What about you, dude? What achievements do you think?
It's a good question. So lots of Call of Duty Zombie Easter eggs that I have been able to complete with others. I guess the challenge is these types of achievements that they're giving credit for are like grindy. achievements, right? Like, oh, you spent 1,000 hours in this game. And that's just not really how I operate. Outside of some of the Call of Duties and maybe one of the Fallouts, I haven't put those types of hours in. So yeah, probably something related to getting those zombie Easter eggs back when they were really, really hard back in the day.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's keep things moving, Mac. We got another news story about something rare that people want. This is on. By the way, did I read the author of that last story? We gotta do things right here. That was written by Virginia Glaze at IGN.com. That story about the scholarships. This next news story, written by Andrea Trauma at Game Rant, and here's what it says, Mac. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet players have one last chance to get a unique, very rare Pokemon before it's gone forever on July 17th. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are almost 4 years old and will officially enter their 5th year since launch in November 2026. Yet Pokemon Winds and Waves were revealed this past Pokemon Day for an undisclosed 2027 release, so they may come around 5 years after Gen 9, blah, 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 blah. Mac, bottom line, they are going to take away the ability to get some of these rare Pokemon in-game, and I don't quite know if it's because they only appear so often or if this is by design. But the idea of digital scarcity is something that we've talked about before. We've also talked about digital ownership back when NFTs were really popping off back in 2021, 2022, when people were bored and scamming people out of their money. What do you think about digital scarcity in games, especially related to Pokemon? Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all. I mean, I think it's a little bit silly because, after all, the point of the game is complete your Pokedex, finish things off. Now, this wouldn't be the only time that Pokemon had, shall we say, some digital scarcity. As Mew, you either had to go to an event to get the Pokemon loaded onto your cartridge, or you had to use cheat codes in order to open up. And not like cheat codes like you punch in up, down, left, right, BA start. But the usage of a Game Genie or Game Shark to add it to your team. Only way you could make it happen. No amount of trying to push over the truck near the SS Saint or the Saint Anne or whatever the cruise ship was labeled,
sure,
or anything like that would net you that, even though we tried all the permutations for sure. It isn't without precedent, is what I'm saying, but it does seem antithetical to the concept. Like you said so perfectly, gotta catch them all. How is that catching them all if you can't catch them all anymore?
Yeah, it's interesting. So here's my thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't have as much a problem with this as I might have in the past.
Oh.
And the reason why is because Pokemon is not tied to a digital marketplace, where that scarcity of a digital item then inflates the price or deflates the price of other people who have that item, and then results in people spending real money and doing all types of crazy things to get it. So in that regard, I'm okay with it. But here's where I kind of do think this is just, it's artificial. We talk about hacking. We talk about cheating. It's going to be very, very easy for someone to hack and make a Pokemon that has all of the traits, all of the characteristics of these rare Pokemon, and there's really nothing Nintendo can do to stop them. So in an all-digital age, or in a digital age, I should say, scarcity is really not real.
Yeah, scarcity is a choice, for sure. We could say that about, like, you've just got me thinking about it, Llama. It doesn't have anything to do with Pokemon, but what do you think about pre-ordering a game if there is no physical discs or no physical versions?
What do I think about you doing it, or what do I think about it in general?
No, about the prospect. I mean, at one point in time, the notion or the idea would be, if there's going to actually be a physical release, pre-ordering it meant you could secure your copy because there's limited numbers of copies. Just what you said about the digital scarcity, they're not stopping the printing machine for the video game
licenses
in a digital only thing anymore.
So what do I think about buying a digital when there's no physical option?
Pre-ordering when there's no.
Oh, pre-ordering?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Now, here's where they get people, though, is they have pre-order bonuses.
Yeah.
Right? Where they say you get this skin, you get this gun, you get some currency that you can use in-game, and then you feel like you're getting a deal. When in reality, you're pre-ordering something that's not scarce in order to get something that is also digital. So to me, that's crazy. Now, I remember back in the day, they used to have pre-order bonuses that were physical, right? You pre-order at GameStop, you get a sticker, you get a T-shirt, you get a poster. And some retailers, Mac, even had swag that was tied specifically to their storefront. So Best Buy would be different than Target, would be different than Walmart, would be different than GameStop. And I kind of miss those days, and I think they may be behind us. Anything else on this, Mac?
Maybe one more thing, nice guy. And I am curious about your take. You had said that, like, this sort of scarcity doesn't, with the Pokemon, doesn't really bother you quite as much as if there was some digital scarcity, NFT adjacent, or whatever,
tied to a storefront or something.
Tied to that storefront. How does it strike you if, a la back in the Flappy Bird craze, when it got pulled from the things and people were auctioning off their things, what if there is this secondary market of selling off accounts that happen to have the rare Pokemon on them? Still feel the same way, or?
That's a really good question. I'd have to think about it. It's interesting because I almost feel like I'm okay with digital scarcity when the ones who are in charge of the RNG, right, or the amount of items are not the ones profiting from said scarcity. So, because to me it seems like double dipping. If you can get people to pay $60 for a game, and then there's an item in game that is so rare that it makes people buy more of your currency, so they can then go buy loot boxes, so that they can then have a chance of getting that item that you made scarce yourself. That's where I really have a problem. If the consumer is somehow profiting from this, I'm less troubled by it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. It's a really interesting thing because I think it really, I think sort of unspoken, but if I may jump in and be like, Lom, are you telling me that there is some inherent like power differential in these different groups and situations that is a little bit unpalatable? That like there's some amount of like some power imbalance between these two groups that makes the transactionalness of it less than what you would call voluntary.
I won't go so far as to say it's involuntary. But what you're saying is directionally correct.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I mean, on the one hand, if something is so valuable to people that they're willing to pay for it, shout out to the person who made the game. Because if two people were playing the game, that wouldn't be the case. They built an audience. They made something that was desirable. Kudos to them. I just think that if you are also the one who is controlling that scarcity, that you should not be able to double dip and also profit off of consumers because.
Yeah. There is something a bit like Fox watching the hen house, no one should have this much power type of. I feel like I instantly knew where you were coming from. Good question, nice guy.
Last news story super quick, because this is one that is kind of close to my heart. Now, Mac, I've talked a lot about if there were games to be remade, what game I would like to see be remade.
Uh-huh.
And we're at a point in time where we don't necessarily need to rely on devs to make these games. We can rely on people like you and me with programming knowledge, with time, with passion to make games that are effectively the remake of what we've been waiting for. And on that note, Mac, there's a game coming out in August that people have been waiting for a long time. This story is by Andy Chalk on PCGamer.com. Agent 64, Spies Never Die, a lovingly crafted homage to the classic Nintendo 64 James Bond game GoldenEye, made quite an impression when it turned up at the PC Gaming Show in 2022. But all hasn't gone quite according to plan since then. An early access release expected later that year didn't come together, and updates on Steam have been few and far between since then. But today, we got an update we've been waiting for. Developer Replicant D6 announced that Agent 64 Spies Never Die is set to launch on August 11th. Here's the quote, Mac. After a grueling 5.5 years of work, I can finally put a final release date down, the dev wrote in a short but sweet update on Steam. Everything is almost ready and set. Let's make it worth it. Mac, I've watched the trailer. I've had people like this. One of the security guards in the building where I work, who knows I game, was like, dude, have you checked out Agent 64? This game looks amazing. This was a few weeks ago. So I'm familiar with this game. And there's single player. There is 8-player multiplayer. It looks awesome. I just wanted to tell the people.
Yeah.
I don't know what to talk about here. I'm very excited. That's it.
No, I'm excited too. I don't know how good my latency if going to be in a high stakes shooter like that. I would love to maybe give it a shot. Do we know if do we have an idea of the price of Agent 64 when it launches?
I tried to look it up. I think it's $20, but I couldn't get it to pull up on the Steam page for some reason.
Gotcha.
But I assume $19.99. Fact check me on that, chat, if you know differently.
Cool. Alam, I think I would love to at least try and play this game.
There's a demo.
Well, no. At the release, I think I would like to, buy a copy and at least try and play it with you. I assume it also is going to have a single player mode too. Yeah.
It does. It definitely does. And yeah, I'm Googling. It says that the price has ranged, on sale for $9.99, but by default is $19.99.
Okay. Cool.
And yeah, man, let's play it.
Yeah.
Community. If you want to hop in, we get 8 people.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I mean, no odd job though. Slappers only.
No odd job. Well, shout out to people making dope stuff. That has been our news for the week.
And how? Well, thank you, Mr. Nice Guy, for catching me up. Now, maybe I can take you back to the past with some video game history. Nice Guy, we have all sorts of really cool, fun, and exciting games that have come out this past week in years before. There is one game in particular. I don't want to talk about it too much at this exact moment because I came prepared with an actual news article from it that I think I'll try and save for either next time or a couple times out. But just to note the release of one of the first real controversial games called Death Race. It was an arcade game released in July of 1976. But we'll skip ahead a little bit to a release in 1990, July 12th. 1990, a game very near and dear to my heart, Final Fantasy for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Lam, I don't know if either at the time or since you have played the first Final Fantasy game.
You know what? It's one of those games in my gaming journey that I'm embarrassed to say I have not played.
I don't think you should be embarrassed, Mr. Nice Guy. Is it good? Yes. Does it have some great things? Absolutely. Does it suffer from the sagging middle? Absolutely. But it does have a lot of very cool things. Obviously, we know that Final Fantasy, they were intending it to be kind of the final game, the final fantasy for them because they had some flops, but it performed quite well. It doesn't mean it was without its issues, though, as a game. Turn-based, squad of 4, you started the game, and basically you were locked into your classes throughout the whole time. Later on, they'd experiment with, being able to change classes and things like that, but this one was pretty locked. So it turns out if you were like, oh, maybe I'll try 4 fighters, nope, that's gonna go bad for you real fast. Actually, I've made it work, but it is inherently a bit harder. But Final Fantasy had a lot of things in the NES release that weren't exactly great. Like, let's say you wanted to walk into a shop. You're not just going to buy one potion, Mr. Nice Guy. You need to buy a couple before you go on a dungeon crawl, right?
Of course.
Maybe 10, 15, 20. You've got to press each and every time individually. A, buy this for 50 gold? Yes. Thank you very much. Come again. Anything else? Vroop, pops back up. Ugh, such a pain. Or like, for example...
come a long way.
Yeah, we have come a long way. Little incremental things. Or like little weird things in the code about, I don't know. Maybe, say, for example, you're supposed to be calculating fighting stats based off of these 3 criteria, and the game just forgets to pull in 2 of those criteria, and they never caught it in post. So the game shipped with bugs. You can download some ROM hacks in order to fix those bugs, provided by the community. Of course, shout out to the community, always putting in the work, whether it's Agent 64 or Final Fantasy.
Love it.
But there is a real interesting thing about the original Final Fantasy, fun fact, if you will, that the game, you might think, relies to some extent on random number generation. Right? So much of games. We have sometimes very sophisticated or sometimes not so sophisticated random number generation. Final Fantasy doesn't even bother with that. What it had was this table, right? You could imagine just a big list, all, say 100 values or so, and all of them seem random. And every time the game needed a random number, it would look on that table and shift down another value on the table, and then loop back to the top when it had exhausted and hit to the end of the table. So theoretically speaking, you would just need to know where you were starting on that table, and then you could position or arrange things so that you would get the best sort of call for an RNG number on that table in order to manipulate the RNG to what you wanted. Now, in practice, nobody's doing that. Or at least if you are doing it, you are made of crazy stuff.
You should be counting cards in Vegas if you're doing that.
Exactly. If you're pulling that off, go count cards in Vegas. It is the position of Two Nerds in a Pod, a video game podcast, that you should count cards in Vegas.
No, it is not.
No, it is not. So, let's see. Just a couple of other quick ones, though. Shout out, of course, to Riven, the sequel to Myst, launched in 1997. A game that admittedly has not aged quite so well as some games, but it was mind-blowing in its time. Very much limited by its own hardware. And then, of course, something that I still, to this very day, in spite of it coming out in 2016, I still very much see this being played all the time in and about my community. That is Pokemon Go. Always worth shouting out. A game like Pokemon Go that still, to this day, has so many people playing it. But Mr. Nice Guy, that is what I had for us for some video game history for today.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Mac. Well, now it's time for a segment we like to call our Topic of the Week, where we bring up something relevant in gaming and discuss our opinions on it. Mac, I want to talk about something that happened this week that made me very, very happy. That was like Christmas in July. For those who own a PlayStation 5, one of the games that I've wanted to come out and be quote-unquote remade, remastered, re-released for a long time is Call of Duty Black Ops. And this is a game I've told so many times the story about how I got into this game, so I won't tell it again.
No, would you be so kind as to tell it again, Nice Guy? It's an amazing story.
I'll tell it in 30 seconds. So the year my wife and I got married, we were doing some thrift shopping. We went into this thrift store that had games, had CDs, had Blu-rays, had all kinds of cool stuff. And there was this guy in the store, and he said, "Have you heard about this game Call of Duty Black Ops? This is in 2010. He said, "It's the best game ever made." And he said it with such confidence that I believed him. And I told my wife, who had just gotten me a 360 for Christmas that year, "I've got to buy this game." Bought the game, blew my mind. Single player, multiplayer, zombies. Just a complete package that I put so many hours into. And I've never really played a game since then that caught that lightning in a bottle. Well, Mac, the game has been available on Xbox for a while. There's still a small community. It was recently re-released as a straight port to the PlayStation 5 with all the DLC just like 2 or 3 days ago. And they also released Black Ops 2, same format. If you have PlayStation Plus, they are each $20, but for $10 more, you get all of the DLC. Now, back in the day, those 4 DLC packs were $15 each and were released every few months. So you effectively paid $120 for the game. You're getting them straight port. Mac, here's my question for you. This is exciting for the community, but some people are feeling like you can't just port a game to a new system. It's not enough. You should have given us updated graphics. You should have given us, I don't know, quality of life. And by the way, hackers are already starting to take over the game, I am told, and I have read. In order for a company to port a game and to make it worth the money, what do they need to do? Can they just put it out there, reinvigorate the community, get us all excited? Now there's lobbies again. Or do they need to do other things as part of their due diligence?
Excellent question, Mr. Nice Guy. First, I will say the moral of Mr. Nice Guy's story is that we should all be giving our gaming recommendations to everybody unasked for, because you never know when you are going to change the trajectory of somebody's gaming life.
That's right.
Thomas Was Alone, Return of the Obra Dinn, Mega Man 2. Get out there, play those games.
Love it.
So to the question, Mr. Nice Guy, what they owe to us as gamers depends very much on what kind of price they are asking us to pay for the game. Because as we know, you can emulate a game, whether we're talking that's the entire Nintendo online back collection of games. They're just emulating the things. That takes almost no effort whatsoever, especially because a lot of those things are built on open source things that they didn't code. So, so basically there's not that much effort involved in that. Price should be very, very low for something like that. A port actually does take some effort. You've got to take the game and make it so that it will work inside of the game's framework. Now this is the type of thing that I think takes a little bit of extra. We should compensate a little bit of extra, put a $20 price tag on something like that. Yeah, that's pretty all right. I mean, this is what I'd pay for an indie game. And, you had somebody who probably did, a non-zero amount of work to port the game. You do a remaster, maybe we start talking you charge normal going rate for a video game, because a remaster really does tend to have the types of things where it's like, well, what did we use? Well, we used the text boxes for the NPCs. Maybe we even redid the voice acting. Maybe we could reuse some of the assets, but it's not quite the amount of work to make a whole new game. But it is getting, starting to get pretty close to that sort of thing. So that's kind of my take, Nice Guy. What we should expect is that we get charged very little money if you're just going to emulate something, a little bit of cash if you're going to port, and if you're going to remaster, those hours and hours of work, the people who did that work deserve. Like, great example, the Final Fantasy VII remaster is basically a brand new game. Basically ground up from scratch, built, essentially. So yeah. Nice Guy, what about you? How do you feel about my 3 tiers system there?
I think I mostly agree. And I think this whole experience, and I did buy Black Ops 1, and I've been playing it, and I've been having a blast with it.
Nice.
I was telling my wife, she was chilling with me while I was playing on the couch, and I said, this is so nostalgic for me. This is the game, the year that she and I got married. It's so much fun, and it's eye-opening to see how much power these companies have. Because now there are a lot of people playing this game, whereas when I would go play it on Xbox, because it is available on Xbox, it's hard to find a game sometimes. Now I hop in, and at least for now, there's a really, really big community of people of a certain age who are waiting for something like this. So I almost wish, Mac, that they would have taken their time with it. And I don't know that they needed to do too many quality of life updates. Like, I'm kind of glad they kept the control scheme the same. It definitely takes advantage of the PlayStation 5 rumble mechanic on the controller. But I almost wish they would have just done a proper remaster rather than a straight port. So that was a little bit frustrating. But I think your three-tier system for the most part is right. I do want to bring up one other example that just was announced this week.
Yeah.
The game called Octopath Traveler and Octopath Traveler 2 were recently announced that remastered versions are going to be coming out on October 1st. The enhanced editions cost $59.99 each or $74.99 as a bundle. And to me, that's an example of where the remaster is probably not worth the price of admission. A game like Octopath Traveler, I can't remember what year it came out, but there's actually a certain amount of charm that comes with the graphics of that type of game. It's almost like a 16-bit, but like a step up. And so to remaster that and to charge $120 if you're buying them separately, which I don't know why you would. You'd buy the bundle for $75, right?
You'd better.
But to me, that's an example of your tier system maybe not being good, but I think that's the exception rather than the rule.
I didn't play Octopath Traveler, although I heard good things about it. It has sort of that like almost pixelated PlayStation vibe to it, didn't it?
Yeah, a step up for sure. Turn-based fighter, something where I feel like the graphics aren't necessarily what's making the game. It's not The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to take a look. I wonder what it. In my mind, Octopath Traveler was like a, indie game price when it launched.
No, it wasn't actually. It was like a full price game.
Okay,
but it had that indie charm for sure.
I retract that. I was totally wrong.
You're good.
But 2017 is when it came out.
Good to know. So less than 10 years ago. Mac, there's a deeper conversation we don't have time for around do we need new games or should we just get remasters? But for now, I think we need to move on.
Well, before we move on, nice guy, the last words I've got on it is maybe we do need new games, new IP. I mean, after all, all they had to do was put out a port of Black Ops, and suddenly everybody on the PlayStation is playing it.
Yeah. So maybe bring back more stuff, but just make sure the hackers can't take over within the first week. And that has been our topic of the week, y'all.
All right, well, now we turn to a crowdfunding project that's trying to get off of the ground. And I'll tell you, Mr. Nice Guy, this has... whatever you're thinking as you pop this open, I hope there's enough reasonable doubt in there. So let's take a look. This is called the Mana Board. So Husk Brew Games is out of Gillette, Wyoming, and they've got some retro goodness for us. Now, the Mana Board, is a flash cartridge, essentially, for use in your Nintendo Entertainment System. I love a good retro gaming thing. It was a $1,000 goal. It has $6,000 currently. And the idea is that there is some amount of ability on the board to play both Nintendo games in the sort of A mode, or you switch it to B mode, and that works kind of like how a normal flashcard would, but in B mode it will emulate on the chips inside Game Boy games, and give you some of the features that you might have seen on, say, like the Super Game Boy, but push the video and audio through the Nintendo. So you'll be essentially playing Game Boy on your Nintendo. So now with respect to it, the projected launch after everything is estimated as December of this year. So not too far away for a physical thing. Not entirely clear about how many of the mappers will be available for use, which if you haven't done that much emulation, the mappers are each these sorts of, some of the games had their own like special subroutines in order to play, and they called these mappers on the Nintendo, and sometimes it is hard to get compatibility with all of them on the emulation and on the Flash cartridges to varying degrees. Anyway, I've got some more things to say, Mr. Nice Guy, but I was hoping to just ask if anything stood out or seemed interesting.
There's a lot of things that seem interesting. I think the one thing is, as an NES enthusiast, like I still collect the occasional NES cartridge. I have a fake copy of Little Samson that someone gifted me, just so you know how much I'm into the NES, and I love it. Shout out to our friend of the show for gifting that to me. This is something that no one's asking for, this Kickstarter.
Okay.
And Mac, the best analogy I could use super quickly is I was thinking earlier about how I have both the Analog Pocket and I have the AYN Thor. And the one that gets played way, way more is the Analog Pocket. Because it does what it's meant to do very, very well, as opposed to doing everything. You know, being able to stream PC, being able to play 3DS and emulate 3DS and DS, being able to play my PlayStation and my Xbox on the... Like, that's great and all, but sometimes I really just want a simple retro experience. And I just want something where I don't have to deal with the analysis paralysis of having access to hundreds and hundreds and tens of years of games. And this cartridge is exactly what I don't need for my NES. I don't need or want to play Game Boy games on my NES. I'm sorry. This is not something that anyone is asking for.
It's okay. Well, the $6,000 that they've raised seems like some people are asking for it. Let me also throw something else at you, Mr. Nice Guy. It is a mere $35.
I saw that.
Thing,
I saw that.
Which is...
That's a good deal.
Let's dig into the finances a little bit, because it is a good deal, but you know what they say about good deals. Is it too good to be true? So... I've got an EverDrive, right? It's the EverDrive N8. And I bought it, when I bought it, I think it cost me maybe $80 back when I bought it. And this was ages ago. And now that cartridge is no longer in production anymore, but you can still get one, you know, from backstocks and such for around $100. The current thing that's available, the N8 Pro, if it's being manufactured, you can buy it now, is about $160. We could say something and crunch the numbers on inflation, blah, 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 whatever. But that's where it stands, and that's sort of the gold standard, the N8 Pro for flash cartridges for the NES. So $35 seems like there's an awful lot that's going to have to be cut. An awful lot. So you might struggle to get the experience you're hoping for if this mana board appears to you. But also, something that seems a little bit suspicious is a 1K goal. It has 6,000 currently. There's only 23 backers listed on the project.
See?
So the average backer level's 275. That can't be true, because there's a $60 level and a $500 level. No one's backed at the $500, so that's not bringing the average up. Which means the 15 base backers account for $525, and the 7 $60 backers are $420 of that. Which means that's $5,401 that people have pledged in add-ons. And I just don't. So that seems suspicious. But
have you ever seen that thing on Parks and Recreation?
Don't
where
be suspicious.
Jean-Ralphio...
Don't be suspicious. Yeah, I knew where you were going.
Yes, and that's exactly what this is.
Yep, it does seem that way. But flip side, balance that against the fact that I have actually seen a place called Retro RGB. It's a website that does things on emulation and on retro consoles that is pretty well trusted. I've used their stuff. I've bought things from them in the past, and they have done things like they've done like product reviews of stuff from Hosk Brew Games, which is the people who are doing this. So I don't know, Mr. Nice Guy. I don't know what to make of this as a Kickstarter generally, but it's one of those things where it simultaneously has both red flags and green flags, and once I started digging, I couldn't stop digging.
So here's one thing, and this is going to be a new thing for me. I know you're always big on the playable demo where it's relevant. My thing is going to be so much more simple than that. You've got to have a video. Like, you've got to have a video, and they don't have a video on their Kickstarter, Mac. Come on. So, I mean, here's the thing. Are there even screenshots showing what emulation using this device would look like? There are not. And to me, that is the biggest red flag of them all.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've heard some good things about this guy's, company out of Gillette, Wyoming. I mean, we're not here to kick anybody when they're down, but there's just a lot of stuff that seems suspicious about this. I would say not just kick, but also avoid, because it seems scammy. But $35 is not a ton of money to wager on something that could turn out to be good, could turn out to be bad. I'd say, save up your extra pennies for the N8 Pro.
EverDrive.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Well, thank you for that, Mac. Let's keep things moving for our next segment, which we like to call Nerd Flex. Woo-hoo. A segment where you, the viewers, try to stump the host. Sometimes you do, sometimes you do not. If you are here live, feel free to put a multiple choice question in the chat. Mac and I will use nothing but our noggins to try to answer it. And we also have a testy bank. A testy bank?
A testy
that sounds
bank.
really weird.
We're leaving it in.
We have a test bank of questions that we'll use. We'll start with one of these test bank questions. Pokemon question, Mac.
Ooh.
What 2 types can't be poisoned? What 2 types can't be poisoned?
I can get at least one of these. I believe steel type can't be poisoned.
Isn't there like it's not a water type, because water type can definitely be poisoned.
I would assume poison type and steel type, but I'm 99% sure on steel, and I'm like 30% on poison.
Can Onyx get poisoned like the rock type?
Yes, I have poison. I remember using like poison powder with Butterfree to poison Onyx.
It's got to be something like to your point, like precious metal,
Yeah.
or something where the Constitution would scientifically not allow it to be poisoned.
Yes, if we see the
so that's why-
science behind their Pokemons,
Thank you, Professor Oak.
there's no problem in the fascinating world of Pokemon.
Yeah, let's go steel, and I don't know what the other one is. I'm gonna say rock, but it's probably
Okay, I'm gonna go steel and poison.
Dude, you're very, very good at this. It actually is. It's poison and steel. But we will
Oh!
accept steel and poison.
Okay.
as
Whew.
well done.
I'm feeling pumped.
Now, you had added some new questions. What color are those? Just curious.
Orange.
They are orange. Okay. Well, I'm trying to hit through these and see if we can get an orange one. There's so many
The
questions.
bank is so big that it's like, if we didn't see an orange,
Here's
it's
one.
like,
An orange one. What is the official name? This is a great question. What is the official name for Tetris pieces?
Oh gosh, it's something like,
It's a Russian game.
yeah, it is a Russian game, but like, I learned this from a game that you were playing as like a little robot that was created by Alexei, who made Tetris, and they used the thing, I want to say it was like tetragons.
Tetrahedron? That was what came to my mind.
Yeah, tetrahedron, tetragon, tetramites.
It's one of those. Let's see what the answer is. Okay, Tetraminos.
Tetraminos, that's it.
That's it. Now that you've said it out loud.
Yep, now that you've said it out loud, I knew it.
Tip of my tongue.
Dang it. Okay, so close.
Well, hey, I just pressed the random button again, and it went to another orange card. This is
Okay,
great.
sweet.
During GTA 5 development, Rockstar hired real gang members to provide what? During GTA 5 development, Rockstar hired real gang members to provide what?
Okay, so I'm going to engage in some harmful stereotypes.
Okay.
I don't think they were hired to do programming. I don't think Skinny Pete came down to the thing to do programming.
I was going to make a joke about finance, but in all seriousness, there's probably a lot of aspects of being in a gang that are very applicable to managing finance.
Yeah, sure. You think the shakedown, although maybe this is more mob behavior, but you think the shakedowns, the protection money, accounts for itself.
Oh, they know how much they are owed, and they know how much they are owed with interest, Mac.
Exactly. You got to calculate that interest immediately. We've got budding mathematicians and accountants. The first thing that comes to mind is consulting.
Yeah, oh man, did I just lose the question? No, it's still there. I was gonna say voicing.
Okay.
Like to keep it realistic.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
But it could have been like with the script, like let's keep it realistic.
Yeah.
Right? Like no one would do that, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll go writing, you go voice acting. We don't have to be.
They bring in a lot of people for voices. So let's see what the answer is. It is indeed character voices, Mac.
Hey!
I actually contributed this week.
You always contribute, dude, and thank you. Sometimes you carry me.
Sometimes. That has been our Nerd Flex for the week.
All right, well, now we turn to a little bit of legalese.
Legalese.
I am not a lawyer, neither here nor in other countries. Nice guy, I have two things I wanted to share. One, a quick refrain from last thing, and then something about a good thing in Brazil. So a quick shout out to listener Pocket Dragon, who mentioned something about our thing. I had shouted out all these people from the California legislature who had said, let's hold off on the protect our games legislation. Sure. And told folk, hey, these are your people, go tell them you want this so that they pass it through the committee. Pocket Dragon mentioned, he sent to me, rather, a video of one of the people on YouTube talking about a certain event that happened during the hearing, with people talking about, that's why it got stopped, was because the ESA did a bunch of lying. And he was like, I'm surprised you didn't mention this, which I just wanted to say, I kind of thought everybody already knew. So in case anybody didn't know, there was a quick back and forth in the thing wherein the person representing the Entertainment Software Association said that Minecraft private servers are illegal.
Oh boy.
And that was something that they said are illegal, and we are actively doing lawsuits to shut that down. Which are lies, but some people have cited that that's the reason why this thing got stopped in committee, was because they were talking about things, and it was something that they specifically brought up. They're like, hey, Minecraft servers, if you're saying we can't possibly let private servers be a thing, there are plenty of games still actively being sold that function entirely via private servers.
Right.
Minecraft, you spin up the game, it creates a private server right then and there that you can invite people into. There are many games that function on this. So to pretend, because they were getting some pushback, so to pretend that this can't be a solution to games that the company no longer wants to support anymore is just being silly. To which the ESA person said, yeah, those are, Minecraft private servers are illegal, and we are suing to shut those down, which, again, lies. So yeah, anyway, maybe also worth noting when you call those people, but I figured everybody had already heard that. All right, nice guy, let me pop us down south to Brazil. Because in Brazil, you can apparently get your games back. So there's this guy, right? He lives in Brazil. His account gets hijacked, Mr. Nice Guy.
Oh, no.
His account gets hijacked, it gets locked down, and Microsoft's solution is to delete his account. He filed suit in small claims court because he had bought a bunch of video games.
Of course he had.
Those video games, those digital games, they had value. And Microsoft was expecting him to buy all of his games over again if he wanted access to his games, because they had shut down his account, removed his games, and apparently attached to it is even the emails with them acknowledging that, yeah, somebody did hack your account, but we're not going to do anything about it. We've deleted all your stuff. You've got to pay for it again if you want it. So he took Microsoft to small claims court, and the ruling of the judge was that, yeah, you have to restore all of his stuff within 15 days. Otherwise, we're going to fine you $150. I think Brazil, so it's real, I think.
Whatever the currency is, sure. Yeah.
Whatever the currency is, but 150 of those every day.
Every day.
Capped at a maximum of 1,500s, and order them to pay him damages. No court costs or attorney fees.
Interesting. They just didn't restore his games, right? And they just gave him $1,500, I assume.
Microsoft has not yet. They are accruing fees, as I understand it. They are accruing fees on it, but they are ordered to give him back his account and his games. So whatever witchcraft they have to do on the back end to put his username, to put his game library back as best as reasonably possible, they are expected to do by court order in Brazil.
Sets a very interesting precedent, because I would have thought for sure that the terms and conditions would have prevented that case from being won.
I'm so glad that you said that, because the finding of the court in Brazil specifically is that the terms and conditions, that those kinds of arrangements, the power imbalance is such that a game company can say whatever they want, and you just have to suck it up and take it. And that is not fair. The inherent imbalance of powers means that they, the game company, Microsoft, can't also be the ones to say, well, we looked into it and we determined that we did our best thing, so go buy all the games again. That's a bridge too far. I don't believe this is going to be precedential in the sense in Brazil or anywhere else. However, it is a win for him. And I don't think we should all be suing Microsoft in small claims court. Not saying that, but I am saying that there is every so often people who recognize that, yeah, they can make you sign whatever you want. And that doesn't necessarily, the terms and conditions aren't necessarily always binding. And that is true even in the United States. There are times where the courts will find that because of that inherent disparity in the power you have to negotiate, because there's no negotiating in a terms and conditions.
Sure.
You take it or walk away. And sometimes you can't even you can't even see the terms and conditions until after you've already paid them the money. So for you to walk away and say, nah, I'm not going to do that, there's no way for you to get your money back. So the difference in those powers is so much that there are often courts in the United States, not in the Fifth Circuit, let's not get crazy, but the 10th Circuit and the First Circuit and the Third and a couple others. But there are places where they will absolutely say, hey, you can't bind them to those terms and conditions because there was no negotiation. And contracts are about negotiation. So anyway, but this is some cool news for him, and hopefully others like him. And that's been Legalese.
Nice. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out, for tuning in, for being awesome. And Mac, before we go, we have one last segment we like to do before 384 comes to a close, called What We've Been Watching and What We've Been Playing, where we talk about just that, the cool, nerdy stuff we have been into across all platforms. Mac and chat, what have you been into this week?
I've mostly been watching a series called, an old Try Guy series called Without a Recipe. Or not Without a Recipe, Phoning It In.
Okay.
And that's, it's a few years old, but it is kind of fun because these dudes aren't good at cooking. And they've got a chef on the other line of the phone giving them, instructions. And it truly is a game of telephone. And it's well, yeah, sure, I put it in a pot, but you didn't say to turn the stove on.
Oh, yeah. You got to be very specific.
All sorts of things like that. And sometimes seeing them have breakdowns as they're dealing with these guys, it's a little bit of Schadenfreude. But yeah, so some cooking stuff. As for playing, I've done a little bit more of Mina the Hollower. I'm taking care of some of these sort of side bosses that I put off to the side for a ways. And also this weekend I started, a friend got me a copy of Valheim, and so...
Oh yeah, what'd you think of it?
I'm enjoying it so far. I think I would be enjoying it way less if I was on my own, but having a friend to play with who has just that little bit of okay, this is what you need to be on the lookout for. Some of these things that aren't very well explained in game. Here, let me walk you through some of that. Has been really, really nice. So yeah, how about you?
I mentioned I took my daughters to a movie for their birthday. Went to go see the new Moana. I think it was fine animated. And it's funny because I asked all the kids afterwards. I said, hey, did you guys think that was like the first one? They were like, no, it was completely different. So Disney is doing something well when it comes to printing money, I guess. Fear the Walking Dead. I've been watching some of that and watching a lot of retro game collecting channels on YouTube. In fact, if anyone knows of any really solid retro game journeys that people are posting on YouTube, would love to find some more mid-sized to small creators to support and show some love in that space. I really enjoy that type of content. As far as playing, Mac, I ranked up in Teamfight Tactics. I'm climbing the ladder, and I watched some of the championship games this weekend, so that was super fun. And then, like I said, I've been doing my analog pocket. Chat is kind of quiet today, which is okay. It's very rare. But if you're still here and you want to let us know what you're playing, let us know. Mac, why don't you take us home, though?
Absolutely happy to. Thanks, everybody, for coming out to the show and being a part of episode 384. We hope that you have enjoyed being here at least as much as we've enjoyed sharing your company. And remember, if you're listening after the fact, you can join us twitch.tv/2nerdsandapod most Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central for the live record of the show. Give us your nerdy questions. Share with us the nerdy things that you've been into. But until we see you next time, remember to be excellent to each other and keep it nerdy. Bye.
See ya.